ROC, restore our community. ROC, restore our community. ROC, restore our community. ROC, restore our community.
Wanda P's on a mission to ROC, restore our community. Assuming the task, taking on the responsibility. One block at a time, one young mind at a time. We have to strive.
Hello and welcome to ROC. I'm Wanda P and this is Restore Our Communities. I have my sister Denise Barnes of Jefferson's Radio. Hey Denise.
How are you today?
I am good, sister. Introduce our guest.
Our guest today, Wanda, is Johnathan Martin. Johnathan Martin is an award-winning journalist who anchors weekend editions of Channel 4 News today, right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Now, before joining WSMV in 2007, Johnathan spent 2 years as a reporter and an anchor at WRDW-TV, the CBS affiliate in Augusta, Georgia. Johnathan, welcome to the show.
Thank y'all so much for being here. I've been talking about coming on for a while, and it's finally good to be here, and I'm so glad. You know, the community, it's been so good to me, and so anytime I can do stuff, and this is all about community right here.
Yes,
this is what you guys are all about, so I'm glad to be here as a guest today, so thank you.
Great, great. Johnathan, tell our viewing audience, for those, I'm sure, unless you've been up on a rock, you know who he is. Tell our viewing audience who you are and what is your purpose?
Okay, well, as Denise said, I'm a reporter anchor, and I have been for 6 years at Channel 4 News, which is the NBC station here in town. I came here 6 years ago. I was young, and I was kind of inexperienced in some ways, but over the years, I've really grown as a reporter, as an anchor, got involved in the community, and I go out and tell stories. I've worked with people across the community from all over Middle Tennessee telling stories, and I also get to anchor the news a couple days a week. So I've been doing that for 6 years, and I've met so many people and told so many stories, and the black community especially, I've really had an interest in. They supported me as well. So that's what I do. I'm a journalist, and that's what I've always wanted to do since I was a little boy, and I got the opportunity to continue that here in town.
It is great to have a passion and to actually live that passion, get paid for it.
Yeah, you know, it's so true, because I tell people when I was 6 or 7 years old, I used to ask for, a microphone for Christmas, and I would get a big box and cut the, face out and put my head in the TV. I wanted to be a television journalist, and I think sometimes people, think it's crazy, and I followed that passion. I mean, when I got in middle school, I got involved with the yearbook staff, and then the TV program in high school, and then I did it in college, and here I am today. And so it's cool that you really do, look back and say, hey, I wanted to do that since I was a little boy, and you're actually doing it, and it's a blessing. So.
Oh yeah, it is, and to be able to remember that and just walk that pattern, that's awesome.
It is. Now, Johnathan, look, standing on the outside and looking in, people may say, what a glamorous job he has, but I'm sure that you face so many challenges. Talk to us just a little bit about those challenges. Yeah,
people think that, you get on TV and you just put on a suit and you get under the lights, but there's so much that goes into it. I mean, you start your day pretty much as a reporter by making calls, coming up with stories, sometimes getting the phone hung up in your face or the door slammed in your face, and things not going the way they're supposed to. But, in this really tough job, because you're working under deadlines, you have a noon and a 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock news and 5 o'clock, so there's a lot of work to do. The easy part of your day, I always say, is getting on TV and presenting the news. The hard part are the 6 hours, it's the 6 or 7 hours of preparation and making the calls, working tight under deadline, and so that's the hard part, but it's rewarding, and I like it because there's a level of spontaneity with everything you do. Each morning, I never know what I'm going to be covering. Some days, I walk in and they say, go do this. This day, they say, go to this part of Middle Tennessee. One day it might be something fun, So I like the fact that it's just so different. And each day you're going to come in and it's going to be a new adventure. You're going to meet somebody new. And that's why I love it, because no one day is the same.
Now, how long have you been with Channel 4?
I've been with the station for about 6 years. So I'm coming up on 6 years. And as you all know, I'm going to be leaving soon in just a little bit. So, but it's been a great ride. And I think that it's just been amazing.
Yeah. It's kind of sad, but hey, you have our blessings. I mean, we want to encourage you to push on. We enjoy you being here, giving us the stories. Let's talk about that.
Okay, so yeah, I will be leaving, like I said, after 6 years. I got an offer, and I've had other offers since I've been here in Nashville, but I just never felt it was time to leave. But I just really felt that this was the time, and so I got an offer from a new network that is launching in August called Jazeera America. And some people have heard about Jazeera. They are a global brand, really heavy over in Europe and in the Middle East, and now they're bringing an American network to America. And they'll be based out of New York and have different bureaus, Nashville and Detroit and New Orleans, and I'll be working a lot in Nashville and other communities as well, telling news stories. And we're launching in August, and so they've hired like 800 people to be a part of this network, and it's a blessing. It really is.
And to think to be into a new entity like that, imagine how you can grow.
Yeah, and it's something new, it's something different. And one of my friends, I was thinking, I asked him, I said, well, what do you think about me joining this? He said, Johnathan, when people, were first thinking about going to work at Fox News and CNN, people laughed and said, okay, what is this, the chicken noodle network for CNN? People thought it was a joke, but I think sometimes you have to be willing to take the leap and be a part of something different and take a risk and be bold. And so I really said, you know what, it's worth taking, and I'm young, and if it doesn't work out, I can do something else, but it's time to just take a risk. And I felt like it was just what I wanted to do. So.
Well, Johnathan, reverting back to Nashville, I want to talk to you just a moment about diversity. Is there enough diversity in Nashville?
Well, I think that, Nashville is certainly becoming a more diverse place. I think that, when I first got here, even, are you referring to like in the news, or are you just saying like kind of?
Well, we're going to get on some other stuff, Just
okay.
Yeah, news in the field that you're in, and then we'll go into something else.
Yeah, I'll definitely say in the news business, it's something that, definitely could be improved. One of the things I've always tried to do at my station is to be an advocate for the Black community, because when we go into a meeting every morning and decide what stories we cover, there are 20 people in the morning meeting. We have this big conference room, and a lot of times there may be 1 or 2 people only, if that, of color in the room. And I think that the stories that we cover and that are pitched rely on the people who are making the decisions, the producers, the writers, the reporters, and if you don't have those people in the newsroom in those meetings, then sometimes those stories aren't covered. And so a lot of the stories that got covered from TSU and in the Black community and things that happened were the result of people calling me or calling people who are involved in those communities. And so I really am a big advocate, and I feel like we need reporters, we need people on TV who go to an African American church, who are involved in the Hispanic, Latino community. I mean, you can't get those stories out there sometimes unless you have a bond and a trust with those folks.
Wow, exactly.
So I think it definitely could be better.
It could. Now in Nashville, Johnathan has developed a very good reputation for being consistently involved in the community. Johnathan, with that said, and with the latest information regarding Trayvon Martin, talk to us about what's your perspective about the outcome of that trial?
It's surprised a lot of folks, and as a journalist, I try not to get too involved in the putting my opinion in this and that.
Sure.
But I think it's certainly surprising, and it's causing a lot of us to look at the justice system a lot closer. And I don't know. To me, I was really surprised by the verdict. Of course, people could say that the prosecution didn't do what they were supposed to do, and that the jurors, maybe it was not the right makeup on the jury, whatever. But I just think it's a wake-up call for a lot of us.
No doubt.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say, that's what I would say, without going too much into detail. I just think it's a wake-up call.
Oh, no doubt. And I'm just going to just piggyback on what you were saying. I'm a news junkie. I like, being informed. I like to hear different sides. And because I could look at something in a different way, but I would hear someone else's opinion about it, whether I totally agree with them or not. That's a good communicator, that you listen to people. What I'm seeing is just my own opinion. From what I saw in it, maybe what happened, he thought he was going to be off, and I think because he got off, it caused a no questions asked. It's time for us to dialogue about racism in America and race relations. So maybe it wasn't supposed to come out like that. And maybe this was the real, because there are some other ways that this man could possibly be tried on this. It's not double jeopardy. They're talking about, is it double jeopardy? No, it's the civil rights.
I know the civil rights and justice department.
So maybe this was the purpose, and we're all, so when we look at things, we have to look at it, intelligently. And I love the way Eric Holtz, I think today, talked at the NAACP's convention or something. He talked today, and he talked about that, and the eyes are on that. They're looking at that. So there's a possibility that something can come out of it, especially with this juror making the comments that she's made. They are dissecting it.
Yeah, it's been interesting, and I will say I'm not an advocate for the violence that I've seen and all the stuff. I think there's a way to.
It's low though. Nonetheless, it still shouldn't be.
Yeah, but it's getting even more so. I was watching the news this morning. There have been riots in different places, and people smashing car windows. People have been shootings and things like that.
But you know what Eric Holtz said? He said he admired the parents and their behavior behavior in this whole thing. If they're not doing that,
Yeah.
And the kids don't
it'll be done. And if we can just hold our peace and do it the way that, and because everybody was angry,
Mhm.
you know, I'm just saying everybody, but a lot of people were angry. Millions of people with all the petitions, they were angry. So, you know, just let, you know, sometimes we have to, you know, take our sutures, you know, to take it.
Mhm.
And then just allow trust that the system will eventually work, and the people will force the system to work because we have to change laws.
Mhm.
'Cause that's mainly the problem, the way the laws are set.
Mhm.
And that's one thing that I wanted to talk to you about, Johnathan, and I noticed that you mentor a lot, especially with the Boys and Girls Club.
Mhm.
Now, as Wanda just mentioned, there's a lot of anger and grief, hostility, but if you could talk to one of those kids out there who's angry, who wants to go out there and commit some type of violent act, what would you say to that young
Well,
man?
first of all, I mean, just don't do it. I mean, I think there's a way, you know, so many people, we want to react in such a violent way. We want to go and do something, you know, physical, but there's ways to get involved. I mean, you know, there's ways to, you know, make a difference. And I think that sometimes we don't do that enough. We're just so quick to be, you know, violent. But even like you said, mentoring, a lot of, you know, we need to help our young boys. We need to do things. And I'm not saying Trayvon, you know, was a bad person. I think that's one of the issues I have with this whole case. That he's been sort of been, you know, dehumanized, and you know, this was the life that was lost. And I think that so many times we're seeing people treat him as he's just some, you know, whatever. I mean, one of the jurors yesterday, she said, you know, I feel sorry for both of them, which was surprising to a lot of people because, you know, Trayvon Martin lost his life, and you feel sorry for George Zimmerman, you know. But everyone's entitled to their.
But wasn't that a question that when the judge gave the rules to the jury to look upon not to feel sorry for someone?
Yeah, I mean, you know,
it's a lot of things she's saying, and they're dissecting it right now. So
Mhm.
she came out and said some things, so it really could be helpful in the process of
yeah.
finally getting
Right,
it.
right.
I didn't mean to cut you
Oh, no,
off.
you're great. No, you're great. I'm just definitely saying, I just think, you know,
Mm.
tell them to not be violent. I mean, I don't really have any profound advice, but I just think there's a way to respond. And sometimes the way to respond is with that, you know, getting involved in something that's peaceful, that's, you know, that is meaningful. And whether it's a program or a group or you know, I don't know. I just think you can't be violent.
And you're right, Jonathan. Just so happened on Sunday, Bishop Walker mentioned something about, you know, those of us that are able to do something positive to, you know, either add to the positiveness that's going on around. So let's do that. So what I thought about was getting together with some of the teenagers, and it's, you know, because I work with teenagers, I teach special ed students, and I thought about the young lady Jennifer Gentile. She was really classic, like some of the kids that we deal with, you know. So and when they're misunderstood, if you treat them like everybody else treating them, you're gonna get your retarded remarks like that, you know.
Right.
And so I want to really just get them into the mindset, because I was watching one of the programs on, I think it's NSNBC, and they had these two a young black boy and a white boy, and it was amazing what they were talking about, how he's afraid to walk down the street or go to the store, you know, in this time, day and time, you know, so it's really sad. So that's one of the things that I want to find, that I want to do.
And again, we are speaking with Johnathan Martin, who is an award-winning journalist who anchors weekend editions at Channel 4 News right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Now, Johnathan is also the president of the Nashville Association of Black Journalists, whom he's invited me to be a part of. Thank you so much for
you're
that.
welcome. Glad you got involved.
Yes. Now, Johnathan, let us know what's on the horizon for this organization.
Well, yeah, and so for people who don't know, National Association of Black Journalists is a national organization. As you mentioned, we have a Nashville chapter, and what we do is basically a collective group of journalists from all over Nashville. Anybody who's in media, so you could be involved as well. You gotta come.
I'm coming.
Okay, so we have, you know, reporters, we have anchors, radio hosts, we have people from newspaper, we have people who are in PR even, and we all get together as black journalists. Of course, if you're not black, you're welcome to be a part of it as well, but it's really a way for us to get involved and to do things in the community, not only socially, but also giving back to a lot of the students. So we recently had a career fair. Not a career fair, we had a student media conference that we had at Belmont, where we invited a lot of the college students from TSU and from Belmont and from all the schools to come, and we were teaching them how to be journalists, because a lot of times in college, you don't get the training. They give you a book or they teach you a class, but teaching you really what it takes, the good, the bad, the ugly of the business.
The hands-on,
Yeah, so we've done that. We've done several things. We recently had a cookout where we invited some people from the Hispanic Journalists Association, and so the organization is in part you know, a way to give back to younger journalists, and also a way to, you know, be a voice. So if there is something in Nashville media that's kind of not right, then we as a collective group can say, we're going to come forward as a group and handle this. So that's really why we exist.
Exactly. So you have to come aboard.
I will. I'm free. I'm free. I will be there. I promise. I will.
Yes.
And this is so true, Johnathan, because we look at the Michael Basin.
Right.
A voice, especially in what happened with the Trayvon Martin, and just anything in the community he's out there helping. So yeah, absolutely.
And going back just a few moments to Trayvon Martin, remember what happened with the Jenna 6? Those young boys are still incarcerated today, correct?
Oh,
it's my knowledge.
Yes.
I believe so.
Yes. So we have to come together, and for our youth, if nothing else, I always say we must save our youth. They are our next generation. So again, Johnathan, congratulations to you on this new promotion, your new job. Talk just a few more minutes about that.
Okay, so I'll be going to a new network, an American network called Jazeera America, and like I said, it's going to be a situation where they're sitting up in America. We'll be competing with, you know, names you've heard like CNN and MSNBC, and what they really wanted to do with this network was to kind of cover the middle of America, because, you know, a lot of times when you watch the news, it's kind of Atlanta, it's New York, it's LA, but there's this middle section of America sometimes that doesn't get covered, like your Nashvilles, until we have a big, you know, disaster, or even some people said when we had the flood, the national news didn't cover it enough, you know. So part of the reason they're putting a bureau here and in Detroit and in New Orleans is to kind of have, you know, bureaus and have offices in places that the other networks don't, and cover those stories. And so I'll be in Nashville. I'll travel across the region covering stories, and so I'm really looking forward to that, being able to travel. And you know, and I think that, you know, there is a perception or sometimes a misperception of Al Jazeera because of what some people think. Oh, it's this, it's that, you know, it's this in the Middle East, you know, they're funded by this person or that person. But at the end of the day, it's an American network that is coming into America. The people who you will see on air look like you and I. They're really committed to, you know, diversity. So it'll be on cable. And so if you have current TV, which is the old channel that Al Gore had, it'll be on that channel. So you know, you won't see it on TV now. It'll launch in August. Around August 20th. So.
Okay, well, we'll definitely make sure that you come back and just let everybody know that this is happening. I am so excited about that progress, and certainly we have to continue to be the voice.
Yeah, we do. That's an obligation. You know, that's what I really like about being on TV, you know, and having a platform, because some people think, oh, you like being on TV to see yourself and hear yourself, but for me, it's like, you all have a platform, I have a platform, and when you have a platform to give voice and to, you know, say something and get an issue out there and expose something, I mean, that's what I really like about this job. You get that opportunity that so many people don't have.
And unfortunately, this is a time that we are needed.
Right.
We're needed. We've advanced so far, and it's unfortunately some people have not, but nonetheless, you know, and the beauty of what I'm seeing, oh my goodness, the beauty is everybody's coming together. It's ignorance that's messing everything up now. There are people of all colors that are coming together. So that's the beauty of what in our day that we can see, that you have whites, black, Hispanics, and Asians, everybody marching together, you know, for these causes. So I was very, very glad to see that.
Yeah, it's very encouraging to see that.
And Johnathan has participated in so many things, particularly health initiations, the Nashville AIDS Walk, the Nashville Lupus Walk. Talk to us about that.
Well, you know, I tell you, it's been so amazing. I remember coming here and I would get calls to do stuff, you know, in the community. It started off, hey, we want you to do this, we want you to do that, and then come to this church, that church, and then it got to the point where people were asking me to do so many things, and it's such a blessing when people ask you, because I've learned in the news, you know, you can be on the news, but sometimes not every reporter or anchor has a connection to the community. And to me, that's where I feel like I've gotten the biggest support, by going out and you know, helping to host the AIDS Walk and helping to, you know, do stuff in the black community and everywhere in all communities. And so I always believe that's part of the job as a reporter and an anchor. You shouldn't just be anchored to the newsroom, to the desk, but you should be anchored. And I really try to live that. And, you know, even though sometimes you have your day off and you want to just do your own thing, sometimes you have to take those opportunities to give back and really be a part of stuff. So.
And I'll tell you something back, people know I'm from Chicago. I say that I'm proud of being from Chicago, although I won't go back there to live. I have to. Thinking about our president, I remember when he was, I was leaving, but I remember him being in the area where we live, being a community organizer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to have that connection to the community. I think that's what's helped me out so much, is just having that community.
And remembering your roots.
You have to. You can't forget that. You're looking good, Johnathan. You were also voted Nashville's best dressed.
Oh no, I don't know
keep
about
that up.
I don't know. Try
I might
to.
get cut out.
Yeah. No, you go. You can have it. You can have it. No, a lot of those things, have just been great. Like, I mean, when people give you awards and help and say that you're this and that, I mean, it's just it's nice, it's flattering. But but I think that I'm still a journalist. I'll never want to get to the point of being somebody who just is all about what I have on, but what I really do in the community and say.
But it's good, as Nisi, I call her Nisi, would say, it's good to see that we can give each other's flowers while we can smell them. You know the story.
You're right.
So so it's just good because we as African Americans, we have to say oftentimes don't uplift each other like we should because of all the other brokenness, So it's just great to be able to see in this day and time that we can connect with one another and just, be the example.
Now, Johnathan, before joining us right here in Nashville, Tennessee, you were a reporter and an anchor in Augusta, Georgia. Yeah,
Augusta, good old Augusta. Have you guys been to Augusta before?
I've never been.
Okay, so it was home of James Brown, home of the Masters tournament, so it was a great start for me. And when you start in TV, you usually start in a small city. You don't start in Nashville usually, or start in New York. So out of college, I got my start at the CBS affiliate in Augusta, and that's when you really make your mistakes, and that's when you're working in a small city. Yeah, a lot of bloopers. You make your mistakes, and but I started there, got to tell some good stories, covered a lot of interesting people and a lot of interesting stories, and stayed there about 2 years. And after that, I got a call from Nashville. And so in TV, many people wonder, how do you move from city to city?
Right.
You put together a resume tape, and you put together a best of, a reel of your work. And I sent it to Nashville, and they called me and said, come on up here and interview. And so I came to interview here. And I got the job here. But Augusta was just such a good time to really find yourself as a reporter. You're right out of college. You're learning. You're making mistakes. You're covering kind of some crazy, weird stories in a small city. But it prepares you for something like this. So.
Because I often wonder why you'll see people for a little bit and then they're gone.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of how it is. Most people, not everyone, but a lot of people, move up through the markets and the ranks. And so for me, Nashville, I've been here 6 years, and I was like, okay, I have other goals too, and I wanted to move up. But I didn't want to. But I didn't necessarily want to leave this community because I really was like, Nashville is one of those cities.
It's really a good city.
It's one of those cities that you come here thinking Nashville, and then after a little bit, you're like, wow, there's no place like this. And so,
they say
it's itsy, and I was like, you know what? So when the Al Jazeera opportunity came up, and they said, you can be based in Nashville, and you can travel and do things, but this will still be your home. I was like, that's what I wanted, and then be on the national level. So this was, I feel like just an opportunity, a godsend, because I just I didn't want to leave Nashville. I've had offers over the years, and I said, this is home, So. Yeah, you're right.
Well, again, Johnathan, this was nice.
Oh, it was. I appreciate it. I'm glad I got to come, and it's awesome just to sit down and chat with folks. It's great.
Do you have a website or that you want people to contact you, or then they can follow you?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter and I'm on Facebook. So you can find me, Johnathan Martin. Look for me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at jmartintv, so you can look me up there and all that. So I'll put it online. I mean, people can find me. I'm plus, like I said, I'll be around this community, so you'll see me. I go to church here. I go to the grocery store here. So I feel like I'm a part of this community, like you guys.
Cool beans, yeah. I want to thank you again, Johnathan Martin, for coming out, being my guest, and my sister Denise Barnes. Remember, God loves you, and so do we.
If he's going to shift, somebody else has got to do it for him. And now, not only is his paralysis a problem, but the perceptions of other people become a problem for him. Because notice in the culture in which he lives, his paralysis is being interpreted by the culture that something he has done has caused the paralysis. Isn't it amazing how people can make assumptions about your condition? They've never met you, never had one conversation with you, never even shaken your hand, but they can make certain conclusions about you and think that it's something you did that caused your situation to be jacked up. The truth is, you don't always have to do something wrong for your situation to be jacked up. Sometimes that's just the way it is. Am I talking to anybody in here today? And here it is. The perceptions of the community has caused him to experience deep pain. He's harboring this pain in his spirit. Lord, when is my day going to come? When am I going to get my breakthrough? When is it ever going to happen for me? Lord, I'm not a hater. I've celebrated for everybody else getting their healing, getting their breakthrough. But Lord, it seemed like by now something ought to be happening in my life. Let's just go and be real. Somebody came in today, and that's the private pain you're carrying around. I watch everybody else shout and give God glory, but I've become cynical. I've even become standoffish and disengaged because I'm watching it happen for everybody else. But the painful reality I'm dealing with is, when is it going to happen for me? And that's where the breakthrough begins, because it's in that moment when his paralysis and the perception and his pain kicks into high gear that these four men walk by and they see him and they literally declare upon him that, man, you got a real chance at a breakthrough. I wish you tell somebody you got a real chance now. They got together and they determined that something is going to happen in this man's life. Four men, they're unnamed, but they came together, looked at his situation, and watch this. The word was that Jesus was in town. Jesus was in Capernaum. Jesus was in the house. And they knew that wherever Jesus was, there was possibility. Wherever Jesus is, there's a breakthrough. Wherever Jesus is, there's a healing. And so what they determined is that we are going to have the faith that we're going to get this man in this jacked up situation to Jesus. Those are the kind of friends you need in your life. You don't need people in your life trying to pull you away from Jesus. Your real friends are the ones that are trying to get you to